WUPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom radio show. I just want to let everyone know that the opinions said on the show do not represent the opinions of this radio station or the university. And if you so choose, you are able to get the recording of this show on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're also now on social media, so if you so choose, you can currently find us on Twitter and Facebook. Just look up the Jack and Dom Radio Show. That being said, good evening, everyone. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Well, you sound a lot better than I do. If anyone who is listening notices I sound very different, I am still Dominic. I'm not somebody else. Last week, I mentioned that I am going through a tooth removal operation at the dentist, and all of my front teeth were supposed to be removed by now, but something happened. So it didn't go to plan. Apparently, long story short, I don't want to get into all the details, but there was a gum infection underneath some teeth. Some of my front teeth, and it prevented the painkiller medication that, they would take a shot and literally insert it into my gums. It wasn't working effectively. And so they couldn't remove those teeth because I was still having sensation there. And if they were trying to forcibly remove it, it would be exceptionally painful. So I look very weird right now if you were to come visit me, because literally 3 of my teeth, they're not even the centered ones. They're like off center. They're the ones that are still there. And I sound very weird, but these 3 should be removed by Tuesday. They're having me take some antibiotics. So hopefully you don't have to listen to my ugly voice for too long. I know Jack has now given me a new nickname, which I will embrace, Toothless. I did like the movie How to Train Your Dragon. I think that's where you got it from. Yep. It is a good movie. I do like that movie, so all right. I do not take offense to it.
Hopefully that heals quickly for you.
Yes.
And let's jump into it, because you know what else was ugly? NMU's performance against the bye week.
Oh, yes. We lost again to the bye week.
The bye week's a quality opponent.
I don't know what the score was, though. We didn't come up with a score.
Yeah, the bye week's a quality opponent.
49-0?
Yeah. The bye week's a good opponent, though. A lot of teams...
we did get some passing yards compared to last week.
Yeah. We rested some players, But NMU defeated by the bye week. They're on the road again next week before returning home.
Saginaw Valley, correct?
I believe so. And then they are, I believe, home to play Grand Valley, which will be their 75th, or not 75th, their 50th anniversary of the 1975 National Championship. How convenient to do it against a team that will likely win the National Championship this year.
We're probably not going to score in that game.
We're hoping that it'll be a close game. I'm not optimistic. I know Dom's not, but they've, despite losing, they've been in the games so far this season. So maybe they keep it close, keep it within 20, keep it within 30.
It'll probably be 42-10.
Hopefully, with the alumni crowd and the 50th anniversary, we can make something happen.
Why don't you just put those players in there?
TBD on that. Yeah. The volleyball wins their 2 opening home games.
Yes, I went to one of them.
They really struggled on the road in their invitationals, but looked a lot better at home. Potentially had an upward trajectory with a pretty young team. Expectations are low so far.
Yeah. Beat a undefeated Parkside 3-2 at home, so that was a big deal. And then beat Roosevelt 3-0. I was there with some of the basketball players to enjoy that win,
which is awesome, because volleyball needed to get some wins.
Needed that.
So we'll see where they go. Much like the hockey team, the expectations are low, but the excitement is high with some recent good performances. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that team, seeing how they do. In soccer, over the past week or so, you had men's soccer losing to
Roosevelt 1-0.
And previously they also lost to Parkside. I believe it was 3-1. And then women's soccer loses to GVSU 4-0, then beats Davenport 4-0.
Yeah.
So something about that 4-0 scoreline for the women's team.
Oh, of course.
I was at the GVSU game, and that team is one of the national title favorites for a reason. They are deadly.
Yes,
and
they are.
NMU gave a valiant effort, but not enough against the number 3 team in the country. So they lose there 4-0, but beat Davenport 4-0. Women's club hockey sweeps Notre Dame.
This was a big deal.
15-1, which is really impressive.
In a 2-game series, 15 goals to 1 against Notre Dame's women's club team.
Yeah, our women's club team is incredibly good.
Yeah, does Notre Dame have a women's varsity team?
I'm not sure on that one, but it's still really impressive either way.
That is very impressive.
Our club hockey team, even though it's a club team, is one of our most popular and most successful teams.
I've met many of the people there. They follow me on TikTok.
It's very exciting to see that team performing as well as they are. Perhaps it's a good omen for men's hockey season.
Yes, which
I want to talk a little bit briefly about the upcoming schedule, because I got my work schedule for October, like I talked about last week, and it's coming up fast. The home opener for NMU will be on Friday the 17th, and then they play again Saturday the 18th at home, and then Friday the 24th and 25th. I believe it's Colorado College first, and then Michigan State, and then they host. They are hosted by UMass and then Ohio State, I believe, in that order. You have to check the order. I do know the first 4 teams are all ranked within the top 20 in UMass, Ohio State, Colorado College, and number 1 Michigan State. So, NMU, you got to beat the best to be the best. So, let's see what they've got.
UMass, Ohio State, Colorado College, Michigan State.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we're talking home games. Yes. Colorado College on October 17, 18, and then Michigan State 24, 25.
Yep, so those will be great games. Michigan State obviously number 1, Colorado College, I believe.
Should I wear
20.
Michigan State gear?
No, don't do that to NMU.
Okay.
They've also announced the captains for this season. It's going to be captains Tynan Ewart and Nick Ardenaz, with assistant captains Caden Galt and Zane Dempsey. So much like last year, a lot of new faces on this team. Certainly exciting to see what this team can do, especially building on some guys like Aiden Hutchinson, who has a strong...
Not to be confused with the Lions player.
Right,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
To quote Dave Shayak, our head coach, "We like our group and think we are way ahead of where we were last year at this time. We filled some needs and expect us to be better in a lot of areas. We have 16 new faces, and our approach will be focused on getting better every day with our habits and systems." So I think I'm pretty optimistic there. It's gonna be a minute until this team gets going, I think. But really, really exciting. By the way, I want to put out there that our first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 home games this year are against either top 25 teams or a team that I think will be in the top 25 shortly in Michigan Tech. So you've got back-to-back games against Colorado College. The next weekend you play Michigan State, back-to-back games. You've got the home and home with Tech. Then you've got a couple weeks on the road, and then you've got back-to-back games against Minnesota State and Mankato.
Yeah.
And if you think it gets easier, it does not, because then you play St. Thomas in December. Then you have a favorable end-of-season schedule. You play Augustania twice at home, Tech another home and home in January, Bowling Green, and then Lake State. So that's a tough season. If you go down the list, you've got UMass the 4th and 5th of October, Ohio State the 10th and 11th of October. The following weekend, you've got home Colorado College 2 games, and then home Michigan State 2 games. 2 games on the road against Augustania. The following weekend, you got the home and home with Michigan Tech. Then you get a bye week. Then you get 2 road games against Bemidji, home against Minnesota State. To start off December, you're at Bowling Green, and then versus St. Thomas. You get the holiday break, and then it's at Lake State versus Augustana, home and home with Michigan Tech, Bemidji, and then in February, you've got at Ferris, which I think is a must-win, versus Lake State, which I think is also a must-win. And then you close the season at Minnesota State. So, it's
a tough schedule.
That's a rough schedule.
It is a rough schedule.
NMU, I think, has been making some progress. You saw it towards the end of last year. So this is going to be very much a a good measuring stick of where they're at, you're going to get teams like Ferris State that are towards the bottom of the CCHA and teams like Michigan State who are literally the best of the best. So it's going to be an exciting opportunity for our Wildcats.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned before, MSU and Michigan on the bye week. Michigan will host Wisconsin coming up, and I believe Michigan State hosts Nebraska. Michigan pretty much gets a gimme game there. Nebraska not what they were. They'll be lucky to be bowl eligible. Michigan State with a tough one against Nebraska. Given Michigan State's pass defense, I think Dylan Raiola is going to give you some problems. But at the same time, Nebraska's defense is questionable, so I think Aiden Childs is going to have himself a day. I think Nebraska wins by a touchdown, but I don't count Michigan State out of that game. Michigan, I think, wins by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I don't see Wisconsin putting up a fight there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, really not much to say there until they play next week. It's just another week for Bryce Underwood to get some reps in that offense and for Michigan State's defense to figure out where they are. Because when I watch their games, I feel like they forget which end zone they're defending.
Yes.
They miss a heck of a lot of tackles.
Swiss cheese is what it's
Swiss
described.
cheese is a good way to put it. Michigan's
Even
pass
me as
defense
a-
was also questionable against Nebraska. So both Michigan and Michigan State's defense going to do some tightening up, I'm sure, in practice this week, leading up to their all-important Big Ten games next week against the teams in red.
Can I bring us, because you brought up Bemidji State?
Bemidji, yeah.
Yes. So you would probably remember a few weeks ago in football, D2 football, Michigan Tech faced ranked Bemidji State and beat them, and it was supposed to be a big deal. I still think it's a relatively big deal. I checked on that school earlier today. They have yet to win a game.
Oh.
So they dropped.
Fraudulent.
They dropped. They were number 13 in the country. They're now in the bottom of the barrel.
Is that a good omen for us against Tech? Probably not.
Probably not, because Michigan Tech.
It just weakens Tech's resume.
Yeah, their only loss was to a touchdown against Upper Iowa. We're still cooked.
That's good to keep in mind, though.
Against Tech. So
the MLB
we're
playoffs are starting here very shortly. And the Tigers had one of the biggest collapses of all time. They were 15.5 games up
I know.
in the division.
Oh.
They still make the playoffs, but they have to play Cleveland away. So I foresee a series loss. They play tomorrow at 1:08 p.m. if you choose to tune in, followed by Cubs, Padres, Yankees, Red Sox, and Reds, Dodgers.
You know that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean where the Captain Jack Sparrow's on that sinking ship, but he's going to dock. He's going to dock, but he's on the top, and the top of the ship goes right up against the dock, and he's able to step off. That's the Tigers' ending season.
We limped our way in and got lucky that the Astros lost, or got kicked out in the tiebreaker. But we play the Guardians. I don't foresee us winning that. But if anything's possible, we went on a run last year against these same Guardians. So TBD what happens there. Padres Cubs is intriguing. I think the Cubs win that series, but we'll see. The classic Yankees Red Sox, always a fun one. I see the Yankees winning that one, but it should be a lot of fun. And then the Dodgers should handle the Reds with ease, although it's exciting to see the Reds back in the playoffs. Buys, you get the Blue Jays, who I think is interesting. Definitely not the AL East team that most of us expected. The Phillies, which isn't too big of a surprise. The Brewers, which a little bit of a surprise, but not really. And then the one that I think fans around America, Tigers were kind of an underdog team last year. A lot of neutral fans rallied around them. I think this year's team is going to be the Mariners. And the Mariners have looked great. Cal Raleigh has played spectacularly. They get the first round bye. So the MLB playoffs will, Fall Classic, they call it, will unfold over the course of October and should be finished. The World Series should finish just before November. So if you choose to, certainly keep an eye on that. Hopefully the Tigers play favorably and win that series, although it's going to be a tough one in Cleveland for that. We will certainly keep you posted on the results of that series going into next week. However, if you're a Tigers fan, you're a little bit frustrated like me that we had the collapse. Let's all take a moment to laugh at the Mets, because the Mets spent over $1 billion in the offseason and still didn't make the playoffs.
Ouch.
Kind of reminds me of a certain team down in Dallas in the NFL where they're coasting off of past success and spend just isn't working. But
let's talk about that game.
The Mets, we're going to get to that.
The
Mets, one of the highest payrolls in the MLB,
yeah.
missed the playoffs. Their $1 billion spending spree. Pete Alonso wants out. It's a controversy in New York. So Tigers fans, if you're frustrated with the fact that we just dropped a 15.5 game lead, you can at least at least we're not the Mets. Just like the Lions when we were bad could go, at least we're not Cleveland. So,
but Cleveland would also say, hey, at least we're not Detroit.
Exactly.
They made a song. There was a song about that. Someone made a song about that like 20 years ago. Saying like it was a parody, or it was a comedy kind of song. But they were like, our like economy runs on LeBron James, and hey, at least and our river catches on fire and can't swim in the lake and all this stuff. But hey, at least they're not Detroit.
Yeah, we've kind of got that rivalry with Cleveland. So let's go win. We won the rivalry football game. Let's go win the rivalry baseball too. It's always fun beating a team from Ohio, whether it's college football, the pros, baseball, hockey.
Yeah.
We all my homies hate Ohio, as we like to say. You were sort of getting into it, but I want to jump into the Lions, and we'll jump into the Packers, Dallas.
Well, I want to jump into the Packers Cowboys game because
a 40-40 tie.
40-40 tie.
A frustrating game for a lot of people.
Scoregami that has not happened
before. We love scoregami.
I don't know.
But I think the important thing to note about this game is it's brought up the debate again of if the NFL should have changed their overtime rules in order to avoid ties. And I think, this has been an ongoing conversation for a while, but I think it gains legitimacy every time one of these electric games ends in a tie. I think some sort of college overtime rule would be, I think, really enjoyable for fans and for teams. I don't know if you necessarily put them at the opposing 25-yard line, but I think if you had them start at like the 50 or something like that, and you did the college overtime rules, which are overtime one, it's, each team goes for a touchdown. Obviously, if one team gets a touchdown or a field goal and the other team gets nothing, they win. Pretty straightforward. And then once you hit double overtime, you have to get a touchdown and 2 points, or obviously if both teams only get a field goal or both teams fail to convert, you keep going until there's a winner. It creates an electric atmosphere in those kinds of college games. You saw it in Oregon and Penn State, which we will touch on a little bit later.
Florida State at Virginia.
You're jumping around a lot.
I am.
And we'll get to that. But if you're a Packers fan, I think you have to be disappointed with that performance because you made Dallas Prescott look like a reincarnated Joe Montana.
Yeah.
And, you put up 40 points, but it's also on the second worst defense in the league. If you're wondering who the worst defense is, I believe it's the Baltimore Ravens of all teams. So food for thought there. But point is, you beat up a really poor defense in a game that Jordan Love looked fine, but not great. But your defense got shredded by Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
it's Dak.
Anyone who put Dak Prescott on his fantasy football probably very happy.
Yeah, he was. I lost my matchup. I'm now 0-4, but Dak was on the bench for my opponent. But
319 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Dak played great. It was a fun game. I think I didn't watch it, but I've heard everybody that watched it really. It was a really competitive, good game. Obviously, it's a competitive, good game when you end in a tie with that kind of score. Speaking of good games, although not so competitive.
Well, can I hold on? So, do you know what happened? Not the last play where they kicked the game tying field goal, but the play before.
Nope.
Okay. Literally with like 6 seconds left in the game, clock running. Jordan Love throws into the end zone, almost like it was an incomplete pass, almost gets intercepted. Either that or almost gets a touchdown. the ball hits the ground with just about a second to go. It could have hit
That could have been
zero.
catastrophe.
That could have been catastrophic.
I think a tie is already catastrophic.
And I would have gone to work screaming, "How about them Cowboys?" to all my Packers fans. I would have loved to do that.
You can't tie the Cowboys if you're supposed to be a good team.
Exactly. So with 1 second left,
but there was some
were
questionable
able to get the
game
field goal.
management, though. It looked like the Packers didn't really want to win that game. They were content with a tie, which is interesting to me because you're in the most competitive division. Well, not the most, but one of the most competitive divisions in football. And you're going for a tie against a team that I think is barely a playoff contender. So, interesting thought process there by the floor.
Yes.
Before we get to the Lions, I want to touch on one other thing.
Sure.
Bears-Raiders, the Bears end up winning. But if you remember the Lions play from last year where Ben Johnson did the fake fumble and they threw it for a touchdown to Laporta,
They tried it.
the Bears tried to replicate it, and it did not work. So, Ben Johnson takes the Lions offense with him, and it hasn't looked so great except for against Dallas because, it's Dallas. Otherwise, they've looked borderline average to below average, which is definitely interesting.
The Bears did get their game-winning touchdown with 1:34 left.
Correct. They beat the Raiders, but also
Yeah.
it's the Raiders. So,
Tom Brady's part owner of the Raiders.
I do, and Tom Brady's got to be embarrassed by how that team is playing.
You should go back in the game. No, just kidding.
Okay. Lions win 34-10. 0 sacks of Goff by the league's best defense. There was certainly a lot of rush throws. Myles Garrett caused some havoc on the left side of that offensive line against Taylor Decker. But they made nice adjustments in the second half, shut down that Browns defense. DJ Reed had an excellent interception. The defense was lights out. They gave up another opening drive touchdown, the first team since the 2005 Saints to give up 4 straight opening drive touchdowns. I was a bit concerned early in the game because you started making Joe Flacco look like Joe Flacco again, and then that Lions defense locked the heck.
2 interceptions, 16 of 34 for 184 yards.
They locked in and shut that team down. Goff didn't look great, but he did enough. They misfired at JMO a couple of times. There were some questionable play calls, I think, especially late in the second half. So, it was a good win in terms of the scoreboard, but I think in the secondary, especially with Terrion Arnold's struggles, and now the injury to DJ Reed, there's some work to be done there.
Yeah.
And I certainly think that there is some improvement that needs to be done in terms of offensive play calling, especially with getting
Lions.
creative on running the ball.
Yeah.
I didn't like Gibbs running up the middle. This defense is one of the best in the NFL. I think it actually is the best against runs up the middle. So especially when you're doing it with your elusive back and not your big guy, I question the decision
15
making.
carries for 91 yards is okay.
I mean, that's pretty good, but there were some
below
long
average.
carries that kind of
No,
stretch that average.
I do want to touch on with what you're saying because post game, the Lions released a video. You know how the coach goes in the locker room, talks to everyone, and he is obviously happy about the win. He knew that we were facing against the best defense in the NFL, but he did say, "Hey, there are some things we need to work on. There were some things we didn't do right. We're gonna work hard on that. Other than that, a win is a win. We won by 24 points against a really good defense. Here are the game balls, everyone, blah, 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 and go on, bring it in, kind of thing." So yeah, even the coaching staff is not.
Yeah, they know we can do more.
Yeah,
and that's what I want. That's what I want to hear from this team. Is what I really like about this team is every time we do well, they know we can do more. Right? Dan Campbell is always on top of guys, getting the best out of them, asking for more, and it builds such a positive culture around this team. You hear guys talking about how they are happy to be blocking, like they're happy to be involved however they can be to make this team succeed. Like that is such a massive shift in culture for this team from previous regimes. Like people want to play for us, they want to be team players, and that's really good to see.
I forgot about this guy. I didn't know he was still in the NFL.
Ooh.
Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz.
Oh, yes.
You remember Jim Schwartz?
He wasn't the worst Lions head coach, but he sure wasn't the best.
I remember a year where he was coaching. We won our first 5 games in a row, and it was like a super big deal.
And then we flopped.
And then kind of went downhill from there.
I mean, the Jim Schwartz era wasn't great.
There was a scuffle after that 6th game where we lost. And Jim Schwartz kind of like got upset. And,
Jim Schwartz led to Jim Caldwell. And I will die on the hill that Jim Caldwell could have been Dan Campbell and led us to the promised land, but they fired him after one bad season, and for whatever reason, he's never gotten another chance to be a head coach in the NFL.
But
which is really weird to me because he did such a good job with that Lions team.
Yeah, I kind of forgot where he ended up. So like after him being fired in 2013, because remember he got hired in 2009 after the 0-16 season.
Right, and we got better. Ish.
Defensive coordinator for the Bills for a year. Defensive coordinator for the Eagles, 16-20. Then senior defensive assistant for 21-22, and now defensive coordinator for the Browns starting at 23.
He's been jumping around. He's a great defensive coordinator. He just obviously wasn't the best head coach for this team or overall. Couple quick.
But I completely forgot about him. I see him and I'm like, oh my goodness, he has all white hair.
Remember? Yeah. Certainly an impactful part of Detroit history.
He is, yes. In a negative way. Maybe in a positive way.
I mean, it's more of a neutral way, I think. I don't think a lot of people think about it. DJ Reed is out for a while. We don't know how long. Losing our best cover corner is concerning, and I know Kirby Joseph also potentially injured long-term. They are checking on his status. Malik Neighbors is out for season, so say goodbye to my fantasy team because I had Joe Burrow and Malik Neighbors. There's been a lot of injuries to high-profile players. Nick Bosa, another one.
Carson Wentz is doing surprisingly very well.
But it's certainly not great for the league to have all these high-profile players get injured. Yeah, Carson Wentz has been good in relief of JJ. I will say a lot of his stats come in garbage time or against bad teams, so pump the brakes a little bit. Like, he played terribly against the Steelers until late in the fourth quarter. So, interesting stuff happening there, but I would caution you to pump the brakes a little bit there. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a slow sports week, so I want to jump into the fact that
Here, before we do that, because we are in the bottom of the hour, this is, if you are just joining us, this is WUPX 91.5 FM, H21 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom radio show. We're talking about, obviously, a wide variety of things, including football. Michigan State, and Northern Michigan had all bye weeks.
Yeah, so we're going to jump to another sport that those of us here love, and that is hockey.
Oh, my.
The Red Wings preseason, they have played 4 games so far, being the Blackhawks 3-2, Sabres 5-2, and then losing to the Penguins 3-2 and Sabres 5-2. They played the Penguins, Blackhawks, and then Maple Leafs twice to close out the preseason with their opening game Thursday, October 9th, 7 p.m., I, of course, encourage you to tune in if you so choose. Mm-hmm. They will be playing the Canadiens, and then they will do a home-and-home with the Maple Leafs, then the Panthers, Lightning, and Oilers. So a gauntlet to start the season. We'll see how that goes. Low expectations for the Red Wings. I've said before, I'm disappointed in ownership of the coaching. So we will see what happens. But something to keep an eye on there. Kind of so far, they've been trying out a lot of their younger guys. We've been trying out Kosa in goal primarily. It's been a mixed bag, I think, from him. It'll be interesting to see, how the Red Wings perform this year. If we see progress, if we, see them fall behind again. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure.
I know there's some college football upsets.
Yeah, we're gonna. You may have one or two other topics, but on this slow week, I think we're gonna close out at least what I have with college football. This is one of the slowest sports week of the year, which is disappointing. Okay, so an interesting schedule. It started off Friday night with the upset of Virginia over what was at the time top 10 Florida State, 46-38 in double overtime.
Yes,
the fastest field rush you and I have ever seen.
Oh my goodness!
He
I'm surprised no one died.
Completion thrown, and they instantly rushed the field. Poor Squirrel White, thankfully, was okay.
I'm surprised no one died. Oh my!
It was pretty insane.
Yes, it was. And I saw some social media video from down on the ground, and they were able to get the players like up on their feet.
Yeah, thankfully they were
and
okay.
so-
But what a
so
game for
out
Virginia. Virginia now 4-1 and ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
They have wins over Florida State, Stanford, William and Mary, and Coastal. Their sole blemish, a pretty bad loss to NC State, 35-31. But Virginia might be legit. We'll see. I think the exciting part about this college football season is there's really no front runners right now. Everybody's either got some really good teams they still have to play to prove themselves,
Yes.
like an Ohio State type team, or we just don't know. Arizona State hangs on against TCU. They remain in the top 25. USC, Illinois in a great game. Illinois rebounds from their disastrous defeat to Indiana, beating USC on a last-minute field goal. I continue to iterate that USC and Illinois are both fraudulent. We will see. Michigan plays USC, I believe, in 2 or 3 weeks. And obviously Michigan State with their loss just a week ago. Notre Dame blows out Arkansas. No surprise there.
They fired their coach. Arkansas fired their coach.
Goodbye to Sam Pittman.
I'm surprised you remember his name.
Arkansas. I'm good with coaches, depending like the Power 5 coaches I know quite well. Notre Dame, maybe that's a segment we could do sometime, is you quizzing me on my coaching knowledge, especially the newer coaches I won't get. Maybe to fill some time in a shorter segment. Maybe I'll even do it now. I'll go down the list and see how many I can name. So yeah, Notre Dame, 2-loss team, but they lost to 2 top 10 teams. Proof today why they are still worthy of the top 25 spot. Georgia Tech hangs on in overtime over Wake Forest. Vanderbilt wins comfortably over Utah State. Texas A&M hangs on against Auburn. Ohio State comfortably beats Washington. And a former top 10 matchup, Ole Miss with a former Ferris State quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss beats LSU 24-19. Perhaps
I guess turns out that former D2 player was really good after all.
Perhaps it is Ole Miss's year. We don't know.
Yeah.
Indiana hangs on against Iowa. They're a top 10 team. It takes overtime for top 15 Tennessee to beat Mississippi State. Iowa State comfortably disposes of Arizona. Missouri comfortably disposes of UMass. BYU hangs on against Colorado. And then the 2 games of the week that I think everybody was intrigued about, excited about, watching very carefully. You had Oregon in overtime beating Penn State.
Yes,
Oregon actually,
big deal.
That was
big
a really
game.
big deal because Oregon was blowing them out. Penn State gets themselves back in the game, and then in James Franklin's spectacular fashion, Drew Aller throws an interception. Now, key thing to know, Oregon scored a touchdown after converting a 4th down, but missed the 2-point conversion. So Penn State was driving to win that game and threw an awful pick there was no receiver in the vicinity. By the way, this is after people said, this is after people said Drew Aller would be a number 1 pick, which when you go 14 for 25, 2 touchdowns and interception, not
maybe
quite first pick
round,
material.
maybe 4th round.
Versus Dante Moore went 29 for 39, 248 and 3 touchdowns. So a deserved win for Oregon. They put themselves in the conversation. You'll likely see them in the Big Ten title game in Indianapolis against Ohio State at the end of the season. And then Georgia continues to fight against their kryptonite. It's another loss to Alabama, who, given FSU's loss, maybe we're starting to say it's a bad loss for Alabama, but Alabama has re-legitimized themselves. They win 24-21. They led 24-14 at halftime and didn't look back. And I think both these teams are clear SEC contenders and title contenders. So we'll watch that very carefully in the coming weeks.
The team that I'm following from the SEC that I'm kind of calling the Cinderella team is Vanderbilt.
Top 25, 5-0. I believe they were also 5-0 last year. They're playing Bama.
They were going to Alabama.
They beat, I believe, last year,
and it was a super big deal.
So that's going to be a great game. Speaking of great games.
Hold on. Now, Vanderbilt, according to Macy, has a 13% chance of winning that game.
It's probably closer to about 25. Bama's a juggernaut.
If Vandy wins that game,
top 10.
Are they playoff bound?
No,
because they already beat ranked South Carolina.
It's early to declare a team playoff bound, but let's look at who Vandy has to play. First off, no team is guaranteed.
Alabama, LSU, Texas, Auburn.
They got to play Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, Missouri, and LSU.
This is the SEC.
I don't believe in them yet. You beat Bama, especially if you beat Bama comfortably, I start believing. LSU is fraudulent. Missouri is a question mark. Texas is a question mark. Auburn a question mark. Kentucky isn't that good, and Tennessee is fraudulent. Ooh. So, do I think Vandy wins those games? Absolutely not. It's Vanderbilt. However, if Vanderbilt wins, let's say 3 or 4 of those games, you could sneak in the playoffs as a bottom tier. I think as it stands, they are what used to be the best of the rest. The one step below those New Year's Six now first-round playoff games. Best so something to keep an eye on.
I like that.
Speaking of keeping an eye on next week's games, you got Wisconsin, Michigan, obviously. Vandy, Bama, we just talked about. Not a lot of great matchups next week, but I think the big one on the docket is going to be Miami, Florida against FSU to decide the fate of the ACC. With Clemson out of the picture and Florida State slumping, I think it's Miami's year. I really do. So this is a put it up, prove it week. We'll see. I'm going to take Miami, but it's going to be a good one. Exciting week of college football ahead for Michigan, Michigan State, and NMU. Mm-hmm. Exciting week of sports ahead in general, but it's a slow one this week.
It is a slow week, given the bye weeks of the teams.
Of course, they all
like
have to coincide,
really, which is interesting. So I want to add. This was a topic I kind of brought up. I wanted to bring up last week, but didn't have time.
All right, we will conclude with this one.
Okay. So I read an article recently about Texas football. If you probably know, Texas high school football is one of the biggest things in Texas. I know it's also big in Ohio, it's also big in Florida, big in California.
I mean, it's big across the country, but yes.
But in Texas, it's a whole nother level. I mean, if you look at the top 10 largest Texas stadiums, high school stadiums, or the top 10 largest high school stadiums in the country, most of them are in
Correct.
Texas.
And a lot of the big college programs are there too.
I know that one notable one in that list is in Ohio, the Hall of Fame Stadium.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stadiums in across the country, but Texas has many of them.
There are a lot of small schools in Texas, kind of like all over the country.
Of course.
But in Texas, they had not 8-man league, they have 6.
So is that just no offensive line, no blitzing the quarterback?
No, I think their offensive line is 3. There's 3.
So you've got 3, a quarterback, and 2 receivers, basically?
Pretty much.
So how does the defense work?
I think you have 3
defensive linemen, 3 in the secondary?
Yeah.
I hate that.
And it is a shorter field, shorter width.
I hate that so much because why wouldn't you just do it where there's no offensive lineman? Because what you have is you have one-on-one with each defensive lineman, and then you have a 3v2 in the secondary. How are you going to do anything?
I don't know, but in order to be eligible for this 6-man league, your school has to have less than 105 total students.
That part I like.
Which, by the way, the school that I went to in high school would qualify.
Mine did too.
You went to a small school as well?
I did. So I like this idea. I don't
Not less than 105 per class.
No, I understand.
105
mine
total.
Did. I like that idea because I think it gives smaller schools the opportunity to play team sports in an environment where that's not always possible. We've had that problem at my school where we don't have certain programs, and so they leave in order to go to other schools that do. Football, swimming, a lot of those programs we just don't have the capability for. So I like the idea of a 6-man league. I just think I don't love the rules there of the 3 offensive linemen. I think, if you're correct about that, by the way.
Well, a picture I'm showing, so it was an article from NPR that were talking about it.
Yeah,
the picture that I'm showing you here, it's
football.
3 offensive linemen, a quarterback, a fullback, and a running back. That's it.
Yeah,
no wide receivers.
I think you gotta do 2 offensive linemen at the most, maybe even just 1. So,
my goodness.
I like the idea. I just think it's tough with those rules. Yeah. But I like getting creative. 6, 8, 11, whatever you gotta do.
And what I wanted to bring up is that if your school did your school have a football team?
No.
My school didn't. We had a soccer team, we had a basketball team, we had a volleyball team.
So did we actually.
If if someone were to ask me if there was a 6-man team on my school, for my school.
Would you have played?
Would I have played? Yes.
I would
think
also
I would have.
because I think it's exciting.
I think, I think so. Although me personally, I considered basketball my main sport, while soccer was my secondary.
I was never an athlete, but I think it'd be fun.
I could have been a punter. I could have been a quarterback. I mean, like, I have an understanding of the West Coast offense, although I will say I did not have that such understanding back in high school because there really wasn't a team. I just picked the team's offensive scheme on Madden when I played that game. I didn't break it down or anything like that at that time. And like I said, I was more of a basketball player.
Yep. I think it's cool. So, and I want to close with one final thing.
Sure.
For sports gaming fans, Electronic Arts, or more well known as EA, which makes
EA Sports.
Yes.
It's
which makes the NFL games, the Battlefield games, the college football games, number of other properties,
yes,
has been acquired for $55 billion in the largest leveraged buyout in history by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, Silver Lake Capital, which is owned by Todd Boehly and some others. If you're a fan of soccer, you'll know that is the same group that purchased Chelsea Football Club and then Jared Kushner's Affinity Partners. It's going to take EA private, needs to be approved by the shareholders, should close in 2027.
Wow. Yeah, BBC reporting. Yeah, 4 hours
BBC,
ago.
New York Times, number of others. So
$55
the biggest deal ever for
billion.
a property like this. Privatizing it is certainly an interesting move. We'll see what effect that has on the EA brand. I just wanted to put that out there.
Don't forget, The Sims and Mass Effect
Correct.
are all under EA Sports. I know
just something to keep in
mind.
An exciting week of sports moving forward. I don't really have much else to add.
I know that 2K Sports is working on. I know EA Sports made it. They said they might try to make a college basketball game. Then they gave up because they were competing with 2K Sports.
Well, there was a licensing.
Announced,
there was the 2K basketball game. Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the pro or the college?
College.
College was because they got sued.
Well, but I know that 2K Sports, they announced that they're going to be the ones that are going to be doing it.
We'll see. It's a long way away. It's an exciting thing. They better put it on PC.
Yeah. And they better have a team builder like they do with the college football game, although it's two different companies. So I hope you can make custom teams because the first thing I'm going to do
is make Adam.
Yes. And I know the coaching staff, they know me, they know I'm gonna have a fun time with that.
Yeah, that's certainly an exciting,
that would be super cool,
exciting, fun opportunity for when that game does come out. I think we're 3+ years away, but we will see. That being said, it's an exciting Lions football game against the Bengals coming up this next week. Michigan taking on Wisconsin, Michigan State against Nebraska, NMU going on the road. So if you so choose, tune into some of those games. Enjoy a exciting electric weekend of sports. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon.
Yeah. I hope next week I sound a lot better. But there is one personal side story I do want to tell you guys and Jack because we have a lot of time left. So. I know that one of the foods I can eat is ice cream. I like ice cream. I don't know if you like ice cream.
Who doesn't?
I went to Dairy Queen the other day, and I got a dipped cone. I love dipped cones. Turns out, in order to break the wax shell, you need both your top and bottom teeth in order to do it properly, as well as to eat the cone itself. So I'm definitely gonna miss dipped cones for a while. I'm gonna have to get my ice cream through Sundays, because you eat it with a spoon. Jello, lots of Jello, lots of smoothies. I'm trying to think of other things. Ground beef. I can eat ground beef with a fork and knife, things like that. So
it'll be tough,
but
you'll make it work.
It will be a transition. I have lost. I don't know if I told you guys. Ever since the beginning of the summer, I have changed my diet quite a bit. I have lost about 20 pounds.
Woohoo!
So instead of 260 and change, I'm now 240 and change, which is, I think that's pretty cool. I've been told, don't lose too much too quickly because that can definitely be unhealthy.
Yeah.
But, definitely
exciting news for you in your personal life for sure.
That. So, definitely stay safe out there. I know it is getting colder out there. So if you haven't been
to the
lake
today, though.
If you haven't been to the lake, do so now.
Today's the day.
Do so now, because it is all downhill from here. And that being said, go Wildcats, everyone. This is the Jack and Dom Radio Show here on WUPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. We will see you guys next week.